Hello, Mr. Pease. Welcome to my presentation about, you guessed it, Forrest Gump. Because believe it or not, he goes through some fairly important events, I suppose. Now, some of these events include the racial integration of the University of Alabama, ping pong diplomacy, the Vietnam War, said war's protest, and the moon landing. First one we're going to be talking about today, the racial integration at the University of Alabama. It's a thing he witnesses. Now, why was this important in history? Short answer, prejudice. Longer answer, racial prejudice. You see, uh, obviously, as you may have known, slavery was a big part of the economy in the early South. So, when slavery was abolished, there was a lot of, we'll say, stuff going on. Things like the Jim Crow laws, you know, making it harder for black people to simply exist. And part of that was segregation. The idea that black people and white people needed different water fountains, bathrooms, and even schools, despite the fact that they would be learning the same thing. Now, what is Forrest's fictional role in this? He doesn't acknowledge it. I read through the chapters in which he goes to University of Alabama, and he just doesn't acknowledge it. In fact, Forrest's a little racist throughout the book. One of the highlights of this concept is in the Vietnam War, he refers to all the Vietnamese people as dukes, which is a racial slur. Um, I forget when exactly it is, but like he comments on someone's eyes being close together, making them look like Chinamen, and a bunch of other examples where Forrest lets his true ignorance show, and this doesn't say the kindest of things, which, was normal then, but from a modern perspective, it makes him look like a douchebag, because again, it is. Now, ping pong diplomacy, I do have more to say, because Forrest is a very sporty character to say. This is a real photo from it. Isn't that neat? Anyways, why was this important in history? Well, the US and China, they aren't really getting along at this point in history. They have two very different set of ideals, and oftentimes these different ideals lead to fighting. So naturally, they're gonna against each other on this one. We got capitalism over in the US of A's, America, and we got communism over in China. And, you know, they don't like each other. But ping pong seems to bring everyone together. You know, it's like not liking your teammates, but then you play a game of soccer and you realize, hey, this was pretty fun anyways. Now, Forrest's fictional role is that he's the one who actually played ping pong. Crazy. Yeah, as established, Forrest does a bunch of sports stuff. There's Forrest there, I think. They get slow quality, so you'll have to forgive me if that's not actually Forrest from the movie. Next thing we're gonna discuss is the Vietnam War. Like half his motivation for the book, so it's actually fairly important to him. So why was this important in history? Uh, Communism bad. That's it. So during the Cold War, which was like the war without fighting, we actually set up a bunch of mini wars. One of them that's still in effect today, actually, is the Korean War. North and South Korea are technically still at war because they never agreed to stop fighting. So tension's really high there. The whole reason for these wars are, again, with the U.S. and China being at odds, is capitalism versus communism. because they don't like each other. Now, what's Forrest doing in the war? Well, he's fighting in it actually. He gets sent over there. My bad. My bad. He gets sent over there, and he's carrying a machine gun around. He's getting along with his fellow troops. He makes chili and it explodes, and he gets a shit ton of trouble. And then, of course, his friend Bubba dies, and that's sad because you know. Hey, so the hippie movement, another thing Forrest participates in. So the historical impact of the hippie movement is that is the first TV war. So people really got to see how awful war is, and a lot of people were like, "Hey, let's demonstrate our right to protest and fight for fight for peace." And so a lot of people did that. Uh, the public didn't really like all the blood and things, and so protested, and it started this whole movement with traction, and it didn't really go anywhere. So what was Forrest doing during the hippie movement? The war took Bubba, so he sided with the protesters. Uh, he saw other people throwing medals, and you know what he did? He threw his medal. But he hit the Secretary of State or someone. He hit someone important. I'm gonna be real, I don't really remember. Which leads us to the moon landing. How is this related? You'll find out. So, why was being on the moon important? We should probably discuss why this is. Two words: Cold War. You probably could have guessed that. Yeah, we have to be cooler than the Soviets because communism is bad. You know, you got up the American pride, faith. And did Forrest go to the moon? No, he did not. Instead, Forrest got sent on a rocket to avoid prison time for throwing his medal at somebody. And that's Forrest's fictional role. In summary, Forrest experiences the Cold War and is a bit racist. Thank you for listening to my mini rant. Bye bye.